This question is a very important question, and it's something that pretty much everybody has an issue with. And the question is, why do I keep thinking all the time? Why am I thinking all the time? How lucky are those who can be silent? Not just not talk, but be silent within. How wonderful is that? Now, there are two kinds of thinking in my way of looking. One is you are consciously using the capacity to think. You are directing it, you are present to it, and you're using it. That's one kind of thinking. The other kind of thinking is when it uses you. And sometimes it's very hard to distinguish between the two. It just rambles on. And if you get an overview of that, the rambling on part of it, what you find is it's basically about two things that you talk to yourself about. Who you are and what is going on. So all the time, you're spinning a narrative to yourself to explain reality, to explain existence. And you're doing it without even thinking about it. It just rambles on. You've got opinions, judgments, and commentary about everything. Everything has to be characterized by this rambling thinking. Now, most people don't really distinguish between the two kinds of thinking. They think all their thoughts come from the same place and all their thoughts are equally valid. But clearly they're not, if you really look. I have digestion going on because I ate breakfast. Am I the digestion process? No. It's part of the whole system that I am. My thoughts are happening. Am I the thinker? Is that who I am? The great answer to the question, who are you? I'm the thinker. Because there's nobody else in there doing the thinking, is there? So I must be the thinker. But you're not. You're not the thinker. The thinking happens spontaneously, of its own accord, given by who you're being that life is in any one moment. The thinking happens spontaneously of its own accord, given by who you're being that life is in any one moment. So, if you're being angry, what kind of thoughts will spontaneously arise? Angry thoughts. If you're being, I'm not good enough, my life doesn't work, I don't know who I am, nobody likes me. If you're being like that, what kind of thoughts will arise? Thoughts that support that beingness. But you will take them as if reality is speaking and believe them. But actually it's not reality speaking, it's the mood you're in, it's the beingness you're occupying. The beingness you're occupying. Now, if who you're being that life is that you're awake to it and you're conscious, then your thoughts will be in alignment with that, which is very different from having your thoughts arise out of any other kind of beingness. Now, the question then comes in, okay, I've got in the habit of constantly thinking how to get over it and how to calm my thoughts down. Now, there are two things that you can do with your mind. One of them, obviously, is think. And in that, we include remember, imagine, and internal dialogue. The other thing you can do with your mind, which is the antidote to endless internal dialoguing, the other thing you can do is you can focus. Focus. Pay your attention to something. You can focus on your breath. Beautiful thing to do. You can do that doing almost anything. Just watching your breath come in, watching it go out. Letting it be, but witnessing it. Oh, breathing. So simple, but your mind becomes focused. It can't just take you off on a wild thought train because you're focused. It doesn't actually matter too much what it is that you focus upon. It's the focus, not the object of your focus, that's important. Now, I had a friend who, when he started his spiritual life, he started it by going into a basement and staring at a spot on the wall for 2 weeks. But he said he realized a lot because all the time he was awake to himself, all the time he was focusing. Now, I'm not suggesting anything that extreme, but I'm saying the more you focus, the more control you'll have over the thinking. And meditation is the kind of focus that brings also an awakening with it. An awakening in this sense means you can tell when a tentacle from your thought is trying to grab your attention and pull you back down into the endless pit of thinking nonsense. Most of what we think is nonsense. You wouldn't want it published. You wouldn't want it published. I had a friend once who had taken, I don't know, some strong drug, and he was a very sensitive guy, and while he was sitting by this pool in Los Angeles, there was an earthquake and the pool split open. Did something to his brain permanently. And he thought he could hear everybody thinking. So he'd sit on a bus and he could hear everybody thinking. And I said to him, what was that like? He said it was like hell. That was the definition of hell. People talking to themselves, but like in a dream state, not really even realizing that that's what they were doing, and having nothing really to say to themselves, just rabbiting on, allowing the thinking to occupy the bandwidth, all of the bandwidth. If you spend your life thinking that you're the thinker, you will inevitably, pretty soon, come up with two ideas, which are always the consequence of doing that. One, you'll think that you're not good enough in some way. And two, you'll come up with the idea that there's something not quite right about your life. And that will be coming entirely out of your internal dialogue and how you have been interpreting and characterizing what's going on and who you are. There's a major stage that we have to reach where we realize and can confirm directly for ourselves through our own experience that we are not the thinker. Thinking is happening, and I know it's happening because I witness it. I hear it. How do you know you're thinking? Because you can hear it. So that's two things, isn't it? The thinking itself and that which witnesses it. That which witnesses my thoughts is not bothered by them. I could be thinking terrible thoughts and they're just witnessed. I could be thinking exalted thoughts and they're just witnessed. The witness doesn't bother. Doesn't care. So when you realize that not all your thoughts can be trusted. Your thoughts are a product of who you're being, of the mood you're in, of the place you are inside yourself. They're not a reflection of reality. The fact that you think you're not good enough doesn't mean that you're not good enough. The fact that you think that life is shit doesn't mean that life is shit. If you follow your mind, you won't end up where you want to go. So we have to think about what's beyond it. Focus takes us back to ourselves by focusing on our breath, by focusing on any object in nature, by allowing that part of us to become stronger. Most people's thinking is way up and their focus is way down. So by practicing focus, you bring the focus up. And the more you do that, the quieter it becomes. If you engage in serious meditation, you will experience a quietening down of your mind, of your thinking, and you will experience a greater clarity of thought. You will think less, but your thoughts will be clearer. Once you start to feel silence, once you start to feel presence, it gets easier to feel it until you start to be able to move as it and recognize that that is actually who you are. You are this peace. Peace. Beyond that level of thinking, there is peace. Beautiful peace. And it's always there. So the answers that we seek, the real serious answers that will make a difference to us, they're not going to be found in your internal dialogue. I'll tell you that now. I mean, go on for another decade following the advice of your internal dialogue, not realizing that it's entirely biased. Or realize it now. There's something else. There's something deeper. Awakeness. So you can tell when your mind has taken you over. And you can choose to focus and return to awakeness.